Hey, good morning guys, welcome back to the channel. Nice to see you again. Subscribe, like the channel guys. This is information channel about Thailand. What a fantastic setting here it is today next to this beautiful lake. So you're looking at retiring in Thailand and you're thinking about, what's the best location in Thailand to retire to. You've got to identify your priorities and what's important to you. You have to think about yourself, Talk about this a little bit today in today's video. So first thing is to talk about is amenities. I mean, how close do you need to be to amenities? Do you want to be half an hour away from a shop? I know someone lives up in the village in northern Thailand and they're half an hour away from 7-Eleven, Do you want that? Do you don't mind that? That is up to you. Do you want to be like walkable into the town, So if it is, then places like Hua Hin, Pattaya, Phuket, all these kind of tourist areas, maybe you want to be close to there. Or if that's not an issue, you can live right out in the sticks. It's not a problem to you. Another thing to consider is like the climate. The climate varies immensely. Do you like rain? Because there's a lot down in Phuket, dry areas. Hua Hin, really dry, in Korat, it's very dry and hot in the summer, really oppressive heat, So you got to think about these things, I mean, it's hot all over Thailand. Right up north, they get a lot cooler weather, there's like pollution up there a lot more. Think about these things before you're making a decision about where you want to retire to. Infrastructure in that particular area, has it got good transport network? Are you going to hire a motorbike? Are you going to buy a motorbike? Are you going to have a car? So it doesn't matter. If you live in the countryside, you kind of need a car, else it's a bit of hassle getting around. It's still possible, but obviously if you live in certain areas, it's a hell of a lot easier to travel around, in your tourist hotspots or, on certain big cities, there's a lot more public transport if that's what you want to use. Bangkok's great. Metro, taxis everywhere, around the city, out of the city, So yeah, it's something to think about too, the infrastructure. Cost of living, this is a big one, out in the sticks, it's a lot cheaper than it would be, in Bangkok or Phuket or Koh Samui. They're a lot, they're a lot more expensive just because they're really popular places for people to retire to. So, the price is a little bit inflated, if I'm honest, So some of them areas it costs more money to live. If you don't want to live on beachfront, if you want to live on the beachfront, of course it's going to cost you more than living, half an hour inland from the beach. Just things like this are things to consider. If that doesn't bother you, then that's, you can save yourself a hell of a lot of money by just living away in the countryside a little bit, and then travel in. The next one to don't underestimate is the expat community. This is super important. People underestimate it. They think, oh, I live out in the sticks, it's okay. And then they go out there for a year and they're like, God, there's no one there to talk to. I'm bored out my brain, and it normally takes a little while for that to happen. Then they're like, God, I want other people around me. I want, some friends and different things. And you want expat friends because a lot of people in the village are not going to speak English. So, you got that problem of language barrier. And if you're an older guy coming to Thailand or an older girl, then, you're going to have problems learning the language. Language takes a long time to learn. You won't just master it overnight. Hopefully you will have a good go at it and try and learn it. But, learning the language gets harder as you get older. As I found out myself, it is tricky. You got to keep practicing all the time. So this is something else as well. The English speaking. Are you going to go and live in an English speaking area? Or you're not bothered? You want to learn, you want to completely immerse in Thai culture and, have no foreigners around. That's great. If that's what you want, go and find some, place a little bit cheaper. But these are questions you need to ask yourself before you come to Thailand about, where you're going to live. Also in these expat communities, they have these housing complexes, out in the countryside, they don't have these housing complexes quite as much as they do in like Bangkok and certain areas where they have like a gated community with swimming pool and gym and everything. And it's quite nice. It has a very safe feel about it. There's cameras everywhere, there's security guards. Out in the countryside, if you just buy a house and live there, then you're not going to have that same kind of security. Yeah, Thailand's super safe and hopefully you'll have no problems. But, there's always that chance that some idiot who's been drinking or taking drugs comes along and steals something. That could happen anywhere in the world, But if you live in one of these gated communities, you kind of got security there all the time. All these high-rise condos where there's security, the key card to get in. There's a lot of good cameras everywhere. How close do you want to be to the world-class facilities, healthcare facilities? I mean, yeah, in all your big centres, Hua Hin, Phuket, yeah, Bangkok, Koh Samui, all them areas, Chiang Mai, they always have, you know, really good hospitals there, you know, world-class hospitals that you can use if you have a problem with your health, which, you know, could happen. You're going to be probably over 50 if you come into Thailand to retire, or if you live over here. You know, everyone has problems sometime in their life, you know. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. You can't escape it unless you're really, really lucky. Something else to think about, if you're in the middle of, like, Billy No Mates in the middle of nowhere, like, you know, 2-hour drive from a medical care and you have an emergency, it's a bit annoying. Or you've got to regularly go to the hospital every week, you know, for something. Then if you've got to travel 2 or 3 hours every week, it's a bit annoying, like, you know. So think about these things, you know. I don't know yourself, if you're a really healthy guy, you know, maybe it's not a big problem, you're not worried too much. But if you're always nipping into hospital now and again, then I would very consider, you know, living closer to a good medical facility where you can get to very easily within 20 minutes. Another thing to think about is development in the future. You know, if you get a missus or you buy a house or property somewhere in Thailand, and then, you know, Thailand's a forever changing country, so it's going to change a lot over the next 10 years when you come here, buy a house. I've seen it myself when I bought houses in Thailand, and, like, you know, I've actually bought in communities, so I'm quite lucky, but I've seen other people buy houses and then, bloody hell, like, next door, you know, in a couple of years, a huge great pink house has turned up, because planning permission's a bit sporadic in Thailand. So, you know, people do put up properties all over the shop, and they do look a bit bizarre, some of them. So, you know, what was a beautiful view 1 minute, you know, 2 years later, it can be a shitty view. You know, it can be of this crazy blue house or something. So just bear this in mind. Whereas if you're buying in a gated community, yes, it maybe costs more money, but there's a reason it costs more money. It's freaking good security. You know, no one's going to build around it. That is, you know, it's not going to change in that community, you know, in that the houses around are not going to change. Yeah, outside the community, but that's far enough away that it won't affect you. You know, things are forever changing in Thailand. The thing that might affect you if you're working here, and not as a retiree, but if you're working, is like the commute to work. So check that out. Make sure the traffic's not crazy. I can't get over this lake. It's absolutely beautiful. Eh? What a lovely place this is. Okay, right. We'll see you next time on the next video. Subscribe, like, and share. Spread the love. And now I'm off for a brew. See you later, guys.